Hey, what's up guys, TotallyDubbed here, and today I'm doing a review on the Philips 278G4DHSD. Yes, it's a long name. This is an LED monitor that's using IPS technology, and it's also using a passive 3D technology as well. As you'll be able to see, you've got passive 3D glasses over here. So this monitor is really made for people that like viewing nice images, and also people that like using 3D content. Now the 3D content that you're going to be using is going to be passive 3D. In other words, you're not going to see things coming and jumping out at you. Instead, you're going to have depth. So therefore, don't expect it to be like the cinemas. It's just a bit different in that respect. Now, in terms of its specs, I've got the specs lined up over here. I'll link that down in the description below. So it's a 1080p, 1920x1080p monitor. It's a 27-inch panel, and it runs at 60 Hz. Its response time, now you've got two response times that are listed, and I asked Philips about this. The response time that's typical is 14 milliseconds, which is reasonably slow. However, that is in 3D mode as well. That means that in 2D mode, you've got a smart response time, as it's quoted, at 7 milliseconds, which is a little bit more acceptable. I must say that when I was gaming in 3D, in comparison when I'm not gaming in 3D, I did realize a small difference in the latency. It's very small, but, well, at least to me, but if you're going to be a pro gamer, then this monitor is not going to be for you, because well, at least if you're going to buy it, you're going to be using it for 3D rather than just 2D. So that's something that you should bear in mind. Other than that, at the back you're going to have certain connections to connect up this monitor. You've got VGA input, you've got 3 HDMI inputs, and you've got 4 times USB 3.0 with an input of a USB 3.0, and also a HDMI audio out, and that's just via 3.5mm jack. One thing I did find out is disappointing, it's got no DVI input. It's a bit weird that they've got VGA but not DVI, but they've opted for the HDMI equivalent. In terms of the USB, I was unable to test it because unfortunately you do not get any sort of cable, a USB cable, which I think it's a little bit lacking considering the monitor is about £250 as retail. So it would be nice if Philips included a USB 3.0 cable. So you don't get that, so you'll have to buy that separately, and it would have to be a 3.0 cable with a 3.0 USB input on your PC. And the cable you can get is a typical one that you'd get, for example, for your printer. So anyway, apart from that, another thing that makes it stand out, or something that it has, is actually the AmbiGlow technology. Now, AmbiGlow is that you've got a little light at the back of the monitor, and you're probably able to see that my hand is a little bit glowing. If I just bring down this screen, you'll be able to see at the background, especially on the left hand side over there. If I just tilt the camera, you can see that this is trying to adjust with what the screen is. So you can see it's blue, so it's got blue at the background. Put it up, it goes to white. At least if you were here, you'll be able to see it in white, but on the camera it picks up bluish white. Anyway, so the problem with this AmbiGlow thing is that its actual auto technology is very distracting. If you start switching between things and going between different fast-moving action-paced games, you're going to see a lot of changing in the AmbiGlow. I'm going to try and bring it on the side over here, and then just zoom in a little bit so you can see maybe the AmbiGlow a little bit better over there. But yeah, you can see the AmbiGlow changing right there, and it's constantly changing. Now, right now it's a progressive change, so it doesn't matter. But as soon as you get fast moving pictures, then it becomes more of a problem. So if I just quickly switch between them, as you can see, if I was gaming, this is, for example, different screens and different FPS frames, sorry, you can see that the color changes dramatically in the background, and it's got a slight lag. So that is to be expected, the slight lag, but the fact that you got that color changing is a little bit distracting. It's not something I would use, and it's a little bit of a shame. However, via the OSD you can customize that and just make it a non-reactive one. You can just put it as smart bias light, which just controls it, goes through like a cycle of colors, which is something that I much prefer and actually used myself. In terms of the OSD, in fact, you've got a lot of options that you can go through. 3D modes, AmbiGlow, input. You can customize the picture, which I actually found out the box was very well calibrated. The audio, now the audio is for your output for your 3.5 millimeter jack. And then you've got the color, which I put on sRGB, which to me got me the best colors. And then you've got just a general setup and OSD settings. One thing to note with this OSD, and actually the buttons that are located over here, you don't have a quick switch for your input. So the little ones that you've got here, that I'm going to just try and zoom into, and maybe hopefully you'll be able to see if I turn up my light. You'll be able to probably see over here. It's a little bit hard to see, but anyway, on the left hand side you've got one which comes up with a smart image, which changes the color of the screen. The next one is the AmbiGlow settings. You can put it to brighter, or you can make it completely off. And the next one is for the 3D settings, and the next one is for the OSD, and the one all the way to the right is the on and off switch. What is really missing over here is the fact there's no input. So when I had my Xbox 360 connected and my PC, there was no quick input button. So that means I had to click on this, and then it would come up with the OSD. Once the OSD is there, I would go down, click OK on the input, and go to HDMI 2. So this was a little bit tedious and a little bit annoying. Now, if one source is off and the other source is on, then it automatically switch to whatever source is automatic there. But if you've got both sources playing, then unfortunately that's not going to be the case. So you should bear that in mind. It's a little design flaw in my opinion, because it would have been nice to have that shortcut to change it to the different inputs. And so, yeah, I mean, the OSD is good, but and the buttons are good, but it could have been a little bit better in that respect. Anyway, so that's the OSD. In terms of the actual design itself, it's quite nice that the buttons are quite, they're not poking out too much, and they're pretty easy to press. And the actual overall design of the monitor is actually very nice. You'll be able to see over here, the stand is quite well. It doesn't really shake around that much, especially for a 27-inch screen. It's quite nice. It's a really thin display as well, which is always a plus. And the monitor itself doesn't pivot, but it tilts to a reasonable distance, and in all honesty, with the IPS display, you know, you can view it at really ridiculous angles, so it's always good. Now, in terms of the actual IPS panel itself, the panel is absolutely beautiful. So you're probably able to see in the background my my desktop wallpapers. They're 1440p wallpapers, so therefore they're going to look really nice, really sharp on a 1080p screen. But what's beautiful about it is that the colors are really good. Now, the colors of this screen are brilliant. Now, it's probably the second best monitor I've come across in terms of having brilliant colors out the box. Everything is perfect, and I didn't have to fiddle around with loads of colors. I think it beats my LG IPS 234V in terms of colors, but doesn't beat my PLS QNX QX2710 that's been also calibrated. So, of course, if I calibrated this a little bit more, I'll probably get some better colors over it, but end of the day, it's really good for a 1080p display. I'm very impressed with the colors. That said, it is Philips, so you're to expect great colors and great LED technology, because Philips make absolutely brilliant TVs. So that's something else. Anyway, well, TVs, that was ages ago, but when they did, they made brilliant TVs with IPS technology. So anyway, the the actual panel itself is really nice, so really impressed with that. In terms of its response time and the actual responsiveness of in terms of gaming, it was fine, but as I said, when you put it on 3D mode, you do notice a little bit of that extra input lag. It's not big deal for me because I'm not that competitive as a gamer, but it's something that you should definitely bear in mind when buying this if you want to be gaming. The actual gaming itself in 3D I didn't really like, and the fact that you know, it's got 3D is nice, but the 3D didn't really impress me. It's not something I would go out there and say, oh, I'd really need this 3D monitor, simply because it was a little bit hit and miss sometimes, especially with text. It was really bad, and even the tri-def software that's included was not great because it didn't support 64-bit games, and therefore, you know, nowadays everything is pretty much 64-bit, so it didn't support that either. So that was really disappointing, and you know, the integration with certain games just wasn't there. For example, Battlefield 4, it was pretty bad. So anyway, in terms of the overall experience I had for the 3D, it was hit and miss. It's not something I'd go out there and definitely buy, but the IPS panel was really nice, and the overall response time and the feeling when it came to gaming was really good. So I really I quite like that. The fact that it's got AmbiGlow, it's really nice. It's a nice add-on to have, and it's brilliant when you've got a nice white background, white wall like I do. And on top of that, the stand is really well made, and the build quality is really good. So overall, what do I think about it? Well, I think it's a bit hit and miss by Philips. You've got a nice panel, but you haven't got a panel that's really 3D capable, that 3D capable. It feels like the 3D could be better, and unfortunately wasn't. I think it's better than the AOC monitor I had previously reviewed, but it is not to the standard that I would say, oh, I'd really want and need 3D in front of me and playing. I wish it was a bit, you know, better integration and better software integration. Anyway guys, hopefully you've enjoyed this video, and as I said, you know, I would slightly recommended at £250. If this was maybe 180 to 200, I would be, yes, definitely go get it, because you got the option of 3D and you got a beautiful IPS at 27-inch at 1080p. But at 250, it's a little bit harder to recommend, simply because at 250 you've got a lot more options for either just 3D or just a gaming monitor or just a 3D monitor. Anyway guys, I've been Totally Dubbed, and this has been the Philips 3D AmbiGlow enabled monitor. Alright guys, take care. Bye bye.